Very good evening to you. Welcome to Eurosport's coverage of the 1998 FIA World Rally Championship. The traditional start to the season, the Monte Carlo Rally. The first this year of 14 events, stretching all the way to the bitter cold end of November in Britain with the Network Q Rally of Great Britain. Newcomers to the calendar this year, full World Championship status for China. And a whole host of new changes, different cars, new liveries, new team lineups, drivers swapping seats in a frenzy of activity that would make a Formula off-season look quiet, and perhaps more attention on the World Rally Championship than ever before. 6 manufacturers registered for points, joining last year's teams: Mitsubishi, champions of course, Toyota, Ford, Subaru, Seat, our Skoda starting their first WRC car on this event, and Peugeot will arrive with the formidable looking 206 on the Tour de Course, the Rally of France in May. Well, that's the way they're spread around the 5 continents, of course centered in Europe, but Africa, South America, Asia, Australia and New Zealand taking in Australasia. Round 1, perhaps the most famous rally of them all, it's the Monte. Well, Eurosport extending our coverage again with the updates of the action every night. And of course the cars started the competitive stages today, Monday, but Sunday was a day for the cars to be out and about as well, leaving from Monaco. And all attention on the reigning world champion, team and driver, Tommy Makinen, with everybody else ranged against him, including Colin McRae and the brand new Ford Focus in its sparkling new livery, this newcomer to the championship, looking impressive already. Carlos Sainz, of course, staying with Toyota where he's been so successful. Let's look at the Mitsubishi lineup. The version 6 evolution of the Lancer stroke Charisma GT, Tommy Makinen and Risto Manismaki, and Freddie Loix, the Belgian who sparkled last year for Toyota with Sven Smits, joining the team. But what about Makinen's feelings?
Of course, you feel always a little bit nervous before the rally, but it's not so bad. I'm happy at the moment. We did good recce and we have done excellent preparation. I'm ready for rallying.
Well, a new look in colour for the Mitsubishi, and despite the odd little hiccup, Makinen and Mitsubishi's Evo 6 Lancer have been formidable indeed in testing. He is the man they're all chasing. Unchanged lineup at Toyota: Carlos Sainz, Luis Moya, Thierry Auriol, Denis Giraudais staying aboard for the 2nd consecutive season. Last year's Monte Carlo winner Sainz stays at his spiritual home. Hola indeed, El Matador, of course. Any mention of his name now immediately brings to mind the harrowing end of the 1998 season on the Rally of Great Britain. But what does he think about that?
Past is the past, and you cannot stay thinking in the past for long, either if you win or if you have a mechanical problem or if you lose or whatever. You have to think ahead if you are doing another season like we are doing, and that's it.
Well, a 6-week off-season, but what about conditions here?
The important thing is not the condition, is to have the correct tire and to have the correct information and do not make mistakes with the tire. So, well, it's Monte. It's always nice if it is a little bit of these mixed conditions, where always makes the rally more interesting and more difficult. So it's okay if it is some snow.
Prophetic words as they would turn out, but Carlos Sainz shaking down the Toyota and looking a strong challenger. New lineup at Subaru. The Impreza WRC changes colour, or rather stays colour, but loses most of its decals. Richard Burns takes the #1 seat alongside Robert Reid, replacing Colin McRae as the #1 driver at the Subaru camp. This is a return to his spiritual home for Burns, who has had several successful years at Mitsubishi, but Subaru and ProDrive, it's where he grew up.
First of all, happy birthday.
Thanks a lot.
What did the team get you?
A big chocolate cake, but I'm not allowed to eat it before the rally, unfortunately.
Some of the team are saying they've given you a blue car to drive.
Well, I guess so, yeah. But I was hoping to get that anyway, whether birthday or not. But no, everything's going pretty well, I have to say. It's been a good day so far.
Was it a good recce for you?
Yeah, no problem. There's been quite a lot of snow, and I think there's going to be a bit more tonight, so it could be quite changeable during the rally.
Well, of course, Burns will have to unlearn his Mitsubishi driving habits and relearn his Subaru driving habits, but that's certainly a challenge he is relishing. So is Juha Kankkunen, moving over from Ford.
So completely different compared to normal tarmac rallies example, and everybody is here normally with the new teams and new things, you know, and first rally of the season, it's always interesting.
Ford's third man, Bruno Thierry, like Kankkunen, moving to the Works Pro Drive outfit from Ford, and he too will have to learn the car. Well, what about Ford? Colin McRae and Nicky Grist, the big money signings in the attractive new Focus. Simon Jean-Joseph, runner-up in the French Tarmac Rally Championship, and Thomas Radstrom, both co-driven, rather deftly that, by Fred Gallagher, the veteran. Well, of course, Colin McRae and Nicky Grist, and the Ford Focus with its attractive livery, the centre of activities. But Anorak's note, although it is sponsored by Martini and Rossi, so successful with Lancias and Cesare Fiorio through the 80s, you won't see the words Martini on the car here on the Monty, because French rulings, and of course all the stages are in France, ban alcohol and driving connotations. So it's a very pretty colour. The word Martini Racing will appear later on. Colin McRae, like many of the drivers, of course, at home now here in Monaco, the start of the rally, and scootering off probably just to put the kettle on. I wish. Moving on then, the Seat Cordoba WRC debuted at the end of last year. Piero Liati, winner of this event in 1996 with new co-driver Carlo Casina. Fabrizio Pons has decided that she doesn't want to be part of the action this year, so he's learning a new car and a new co-driver alongside Rovan Pera. I think at the moment, he says, we've got a car that's very near the front-running pace. I'm very impatient to find what kind of competitive stage times that the Seat WRC can set. Of course, the 96 winner of this event, learning a new car, but Harry Rovan Pera, well used to it. What about the Skoda team? Well, Armin Schwartz and Manfred Heimer, along with Czech driver Emil Trainer and his fellow countryman Milos Hulka, Pavel Sibera and Peter Gross, those four, of course, long-term mainstays of the Skoda outfit. But, well, what can you say? At least from here, things can only get better from Skoda, because Armin Schwartz, the German star, didn't even make it as far as the start ramp in his car. It died on the way to the start. Well, he said, it's a bit of a disaster, unfortunately. We knew we were going to have an electronic problem with the car, but unfortunately not only a lack of revs, but a clutch problem, and that on the uphill run to Casino Square, of course part of the Monte Carlo Grand Prix course, Armin Schwartz ran out of power and the car just simply stopped. Well, disappointing indeed for Skoda, their car looking pretty impressive and a welcome addition to the World Rally Championship ranks. Well, bad luck, he says, in bad luck it was indeed. Both cars were expected to pull out after the start. Pavel Sibera indeed retired at La Scoperta, so both cars out before the competitive stages began. Well, Skoda expected it to be a long uphill battle. Development was started very late on the car, says Armin, and some more humble machinery making it on the way to the start. But Skoda will return, don't you worry about that. When we return after the break, we'll take a look at the first leg of competitive stages. But this was Sunday's driving from Monaco to the overnight halt at Gap. Join us after the break and we'll tell you about the dramas that even that caused. Meanwhile, as the start line announcer so correctly says, the reigning world champions, driver, co-driver and manufacturer, waved away by His Serene Highness Prince Albert of Monaco for the start of the 1998 World Rally Championship here on Eurosport. Join us in a moment. Leg 2 of the 1998 Rally Monte Carlo, the first competitive stages, and boy did they start off with a real firecracker, leaving Gap the first stage 48.28 kilometers, the longest of the event. Well, it's a very dramatic start. As you can see, snow laying in the French Alps, and the stage was to produce incident and drama all round. Even before the start, some dramas for some of the drivers. This is Carlos Sainz and Luis Moya comparing notes on compounds and tyre pressures with Tommi Makinen and Risto Manasamaki just ahead of them. Let's hear what Luis Moya has to say about the first stage.
Luis, what reports have you had of the snow? Where does the snow start on the stage?
About 7 kilometers in, but that was when the gravel crew went. Maybe now with the rain it has melted.
Well, mixed conditions and mixed fortunes as well for a number of drivers. This would be an impressive first stage for the 1998 World Rally Championship. But unfortunately for some, it was to be a very depressing first stage. As you can see, rain at the start and higher up in the mountains starting to melt the snow. Well, Tommi Makinen, quickest through the first stage by 35 seconds, a thundering advantage and a really great way to lay down a marker on the first stage of a new season. Despite his impressive speed, Makinen was not free from dramas on this stage, and for the strangest of reasons, some very weird little stories cropping up in this first competitive day of the Monte Carlo Rally. Let's hear now how it all went from Tommi Makinen.
Some little problems. We had some yesterday evening. We had a little accident when we from the time control to the last service point, because it was so many people everywhere, and they just slowly move away in front from the front of car, and I hit the I couldn't see. I just went slowly forward, and all the people move away, and suddenly car just stopped like that. I was wondering what the hell was that. I hit the gate, and this right front corner quite badly, and we damaged brake cooler, and they changed it, and now there is some problem with the brake cooling system, and we lose quite a lot of brakes on the first stage. That was the main problem.
Whereabouts in the stage did you feel that the brakes had gone?
Yeah, on the tarmac, on the last 20 kilometers.
Not too much time lost compared with the others?
No, okay, of course I lose something for that, but I was already over 1 minute ahead of others in midpoint.
So an impressive first stage for Tommi Makinen, but disasters for Carlos Sainz. And off on the very first corner, wrinkled the front of the Toyota, and as you can see from this amateur video, the bonnet of the car was so far up in Carlos's way that he completely lost visibility, lost control of the car, slams off the road into this telegraph pole and out of the event.
Yeah, but RAC has made me very strong, so this is not important. The 3 times we won this rally, we lost it in the RAC. So that means that probably we win the championship this year.
Very upbeat Luis Moya. Carlos Sainz out of the event on the first stage, and problems too for Didier Auriol. Damage to the front left of his car. Mechanics working hard to replace that and to try and keep the second and only remaining Toyota in the event. He went off and is suffering from flu. Not a good start to his event either. Of course, he says, plenty of snow and black ice everywhere as well, he said. And sometimes you just hit sheets of ice on the road. There's obviously no way of telling, and it becomes very slippery. But he said you still have to drive as hard as you can. He said a lot of people have been off and have had problems on the ice, so everybody's making mistakes. Well, Didier Auriol, in fact, went off shortly after Richard Burns, who had been catching him on the stage.
What exactly happened? It was 5-10 meters before a very small bridge, and the car went a little bit sideways before we went on the bridge, and so we hit the bridge and it was over.
In fact, hitting the bridge ripped the front off the car and spun him round. Freddie Loix was out, so it was down to 1 Toyota and 1 Mitsubishi. What about the Subaru crew? Richard Burns, in his first drive for Subaru, had made up the 2-minute start time on Didier Auriol on that first stage. Auriol had him in the mirrors and was planning to find a place to let him by when suddenly Burns disappeared. The lanky redhead had gone off the road and lost nearly 5 minutes. What about the man whose place he's taken, Colin McRae? He had dramas in stage 1 as well. The car stopped and he lost nearly 3 minutes with a plug problem, but it also caught fire. Let's hear from him now.
Well, for us, we had a problem with the engine. It blew all the plug leads out, so the car just stopped. And then we had a fire in the back as well. So we lost. I mean, we lost a good 3 minutes. So it would have been a very good time. We would have been very close to Tommy, which would have been a great start. But we can't help these problems.
Well, further problems later in the day. Incidentally, the fire was just the paint on the floor burning off. The exhaust temperatures had melted on the inside of the car. It wasn't anything major. Problems later on in the day, broken windscreen when he hit a spectator's hand. This is Simon Jean-Joseph, runner-up by 0.8 seconds in the French Rally Championship. The 29-year-old from Martinique, the second works escort. Stage 1 was the longest he'd ever driven the car. There you saw the damage to Colin's car. There you see the incident. Let's hear from the man.
Problem with the windscreen, what exactly happened there?
It was a spectator that was hanging out over a hairpin. So they just need to keep further back. It's the same as normal in Monte Carlo.
Did you just catch your foot?
No, it was somebody's hand, I think. I don't know.
Well, whatever it was, you saw the damage to the windscreen, and undoubtedly somebody nursing very sore body components. But Colin McRae continues. What about the Formula 2 cars? Doing a great job. Tony Gardemeister, a victim of Nissan's plug pulling on its rally efforts just a month ago, out in the Seat Ibiza. 8th fastest on stage 1, and Philippe Bogalski, the man who beat Simon Jean-Joseph to the French rally title for Citroën in the Citroën Saxo kit car. 12th overall on stage 1. They must be blindingly fast downhill, is all I can say. Leader after 3 then, Tommy Makinen in the Mitsubishi, fastest on stage 1 despite that brake problems, 0.6 slower than the others on stage 2, and 4th fastest on stage 3, 33 seconds behind the fastest man, who was Gilles Panizzi. Stage 3 was slush a go-go, and all the top seeds served only to clear the road a little. This is Gilles Panizzi. This is the man who is challenging for the overall lead. In an all-stars Subaru, effectively works machinery run by a satellite Mitsubishi team. Second quickest on stage 1, 6th on stage 2, fastest on stage 3. Gilles Panizzi setting the crowds alight here. So I've got a great feeling with this car, I really like it. Very surprised to see how well we're doing, I have to say, but obviously very satisfied with that. Said, I'm not going to look at the rankings too much, he said, I'm just going to continue driving the way we are, hope it works well. Well, it has done so far. Let's look now at Seat Cordoba, 3rd after stage 3, Piero Liati, great result. Let's hear from him now. He said, car's giving me great feeling. I'm not 100% yet, though, in confidence with the car. He said it's very different from the cars I've driven over the last few years, but as soon as I really get more of a feel for the car, he said, I'm sure the results will come. Well, this is Bruno Thierry, the Subaru Impreza driver, lying 4th after 3 stages, 1 minute and 28 behind the others, behind the leader rather, and just 7 seconds away from 3rd place Piero Liati. Juha Kankinen in the number 6 Subaru Impreza, 2nd of the works cars, 5th after 3 stages, 4th on stage 1, 3rd on stage 2, 11th on stage 3. There's the classification then, midway through the first competitive day. Francois Delacour, another former winner of this event, in 6th position in a Ford Escort. Like Gilles Panizzi, his drive paid for by his employers Peugeot to keep him in rally fitness until the 206 is ready in May. So Makinen leading by 45 seconds from Panizzi halfway through the first day. Join us for the outcome after the break. Well, welcome back to Eurosport's coverage of the first competitive stages of the 1998 Monte Carlo Rally. 8th at the end of the day, Didier Auriol, the 1990 winner in Lancia, 92 winner in a Lancia, the 93 winner in a Toyota, back with Toyota once more. And on stage 4, 2nd quickest, as he was on stage 5, both times to Colin McRae in the Escort, but right on the limit of his tyres, he says. Francois Delacour finishes the day 7th, the 1994 winner in an Escort Cosworth 4x4, now in an Escort Cosworth WRC, and chasing hard. Colin McRae, first day in real action in the Ford Focus WRC, 7th on the day. 1 minute and 54 behind the leaders, fastest on stages 4 and 5, and Malcolm Wilson looked like he'd won the event then.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm quite relieved actually. I mean, okay, it's been a pretty fraught 3-4 weeks, and especially the build-up to the rally and actually getting started. But now that the rally's underway, the first couple of stages didn't go too well for us. We had a couple of problems, but all I can say is there's a lot of happy people in our car and all the vehicles, I think, in M Sport after the third stage. I think Colin's performance there, and obviously the performance of the car, we're absolutely delighted with, to be less than a second behind Tommy and just under 2 seconds behind Didier. And those are the first 3 cars on the road, which just gives you a good indication, and the road conditions are consistent.
Well, what about Bruno Thierry, 5th overall, despite a small problem on stage 4 here? And that was by far the least injurious of the offs that I've seen on the footage from Monte Carlo today. Well, he finishes the day in 5th place. In 4th place, though, and this is a stunning drive from Piero Liati. Let's hope he can continue this in Seat's Cordoba WRC. He is 1 minute and 20 seconds off the lead. 3rd, 4th, 6th, 9th and 8th were his stage times, the 96 winner in top form. Juha Kankinen. He's never won this event. He knows all about the jinx of Monaco, but he's 3rd at the moment in his first drive for Subaru. Well, what can he manage? Tommy Makinen changing a damaged brake disc between stages 4 and 5. What happened here is on stage 4, the disc separated completely from the hub. There it is, free and useless, doing absolutely nothing. So he had effectively very little in terms of braking, and massive grab at that. Look at that. Brake testing the car now to get a feel for the pedal before the start of stage 5. He's thrown away the disc, he's clamped the line to the disc caliper, and now he has 3 brakes.
Tomorrow you're going to be first on the stages, so is that going to be a disadvantage, or what weather reports have you heard?
No, I don't think so. I haven't heard actually anything about weather. Well, I hope it's staying dry, mostly drying up. I prefer it's more enjoyable.
Well, that's when Tommy Makinen thought he was the event leader, but in fact Gilles Panizzi finishes the day as event leader because he was given a 30-second penalty on Sunday for having his car pushed out of a parc fermé. Now, under the 98 regulations, that would have been illegal, and he was penalised for it, but somebody realised that, in fact, in 1999, it's not illegal. So Gilles Panizzi, in the All-Stars Subaru Impreza, leads Rally Monte Carlo after the first day of competitive stages. 2 more days of rallying to go. 5 seconds between Gilles Panizzi's Subaru and Tommy Makinen's Mitsubishi. Panizzi the first into the mountains tomorrow. Makinen, Kankinen, Liati, Thierry and the rest following. Well, after a lifetime with the Escort, the Ford Focus in 6th position looking good. Seat's Cordoba really in there upsetting the apple cart, but a privateer car leading. Well, here's what happens on leg 3. They leave Gap, head back down through to Monaco, and most of the drivers will go home to bed then, of course. Well, we'll leave you with pictures of the first competitive stages of the 1998 World Rally Championship, a season that produces, we hope, or promises at least, and has already started to produce, incident and spectacle in equal measure. From myself, Martin Haven, and from Toby Moody down there, wielding the microphone among the superstars, it's goodbye until tomorrow. Bye for now.
Rally Championship with Ford.
Michelin, the more you progress, the further you go.
Good evening, welcome to Eurosport's coverage of the 1999 World Rally Championship season. The first event, of course, of 14 this year, Rally Monte Carlo. These are the majestic French Alps, backing on to the principality that gives perhaps the most famous rally in the world its name. Day 2 of the competitive stages. Well, they overnighted in Gap, and the long and tortuous route back to Monaco, taking in tonight's famous runs over the Col de Torini, that stage of stages. Well, here's how they finished after 2 legs, 1 competitive run. Gilles Panizzi, the sensational overnight leader in the All-Stars Subaru Impreza from the reigning world champion driver and team combo, Makinen and Lancer Evolution 6. Juha Kankkunen in 3rd, his first drive for Subaru, and the sensational Seat Cordoba in 4th place. But let's have a look at Gilles Panizzi. He was really the astonishing overnight leader, and started off with fastest time on the first stage of day 2. That's Tuesday's stages, stage 6. Despite the black ice, some impressive performances indeed in this X-Works car. The Shell, incidentally, did the Safari Rally with the ProDrive team last year. It's now in 98 San Remo, which is the latest tarmac spec. But of course, since he's the best placed of the Subarus, wouldn't be surprised at all to see some genuine works parts coming his way. Well, now this is interesting. Head-to-head, 40 seconds worth of stage. Tommi Makinen versus Gilles Panizzi. Of course, it's not a real head-to-head, but this is the same point on the stage. Compare and contrast the two drivers. Makinen on slightly narrower tyres here and really struggling for grip. You can see how much Panizzi is pulling out ahead of him. That was reversed on the second stage, but Panizzi looking very good indeed at this stage. Let's hear his early morning feelings. A lot of ice, he said, and black ice makes it very difficult to see, obviously, and very tricky as well, because you go from full grip to absolutely no grip at all. He said sometimes you're sliding around a little bit on a wet road, but then you hit the sheet ice and absolutely, completely out of control. Said, to be honest, I've got no idea at all how to deal with this. I've never had experience of it before. So all I'm doing is listening to my brother Hervé's pace notes and dealing with the black ice situations as they arrive. Well, Tommi Makinen fought back at the start of the day to retake the lead. He was 3rd fastest on stage 6, fastest on stage 7. Let's hear from the world champion.
Second quickest on that stage, but Panizzi's going amazingly fast. Did you have the right tyre choice?
No, not at all. It was quite narrow, kind of snow tyre, and it was completely wrong. Panizzi took the correct tyre. He has wider one and wider one with the spikes, and that was it was much more tarmac what our information was.
Well, the story of day 1 was really stage 1 and all the retirements that it brought to the event. The story of day 2 has been tyre choice, and getting it right has been so difficult. Drivers don't make this choice blind. They do have stage crews going through, ice noting, but still, with a wide variety of tyre widths, combinations of compounds, different cuts in the compound, and then of course studs to throw in, or not, as the conditions may demand, it's very tricky indeed. Well, this is Bruno Thierry, his first drive as the 3rd of the Works Subaru Rally team drivers. 5th overall after day 1, lost 1 minute and 56 to Panizzi on the first stage. Everybody lost time to Panizzi on stage 1. Just too cautious on the ice, said Thierry. Well, better that than to end the event over the edge of a drop somewhere. He lost 2 places though, dropping to 7th, with 3 special stages still to run on the second day. So he's finding his way gradually in the car. So too Juha Kankkunen. Juha Kankkunen, bad tyre choice on stage 1, dropped 57 seconds, and again going for a too conservative a choice perhaps on what turned out to be a real racer's stage. And on the second stage of the day, bringing up to 4th place, but still 24 seconds off the pace. A car really that's all new to him. Pierre Iliardi, another of the sensations of day 1 in the Seat Cordoba. 9th fastest, despite smashing a wheel running into a cliff on the first stage of the day. 2nd quickest on the second stage of the day. The understeer problems that so plagued the Seat last year in its first runs out really seemed to have been sorted, and Piero Liati doing a great job. Let's hear from him talking about his broken wheel rim. He said had this problem 2 kilometres into the first special stage, stone in the snow, shattered the wheel, he said, but the mousse works superbly. This is the ATS mousse in the Michelin tyres. It expands as soon as there's a drop in air pressure, and basically performance barely drops off at all. Colin McRae, Ford number 7. Well, McRae, second quickest, despite, like Liati, a shattered wheel rim on the first stage of the day, only dropped 34 seconds. 8th quickest on stage 7, dropping 36 seconds. So starting to slide away perhaps from Panizzi and Makinen's pace.
I don't really know. There was a small stone we ran over at the start, so I think that's what it was, but it wasn't. We didn't lose any time with it.
The mousse worked okay and everything, no problems with the Michelins?
Yeah, absolutely perfect. I mean, I didn't even know I had a puncture.
Well, here's a man who knows all about these stages, former winner of the event in an Escort Cosworth 4x4, this time in an Escort Cosworth WRC, last year's Works cars, of course these were. This is Francois Delacour, former French champion, and a man who knows a thing or two about producing sensational times on that event. Well, he was 6th and 5th overall, now moved up to 6th in the points standings, in the overall standings there behind McRae. Liati still holding on to 4th. Juha Kankkunen trying to close on the leaders, but the battle is between Panizzi and Makinen, still with 3 stages of the day left to run. Join us for more action in just a moment. Back with action from the second competitive leg of the 1999 Monte Carlo Rally, the opening round of the World Rally Championship. Onto stage 8, snow patches, damp road, and up in the high Col de Trebuchet, one of the most difficult on the event, patches of snow littering the stages. Gilles Panizzi, the overnight leader, only 11th quickest through the stage, lost 1 minute and 1 second to Tommy Makinen. Choice of suspension settings, Panizzi reckoned too hard. Intermediate tyres were right, but he lost his engine in a hairpin and lost time trying to find room to handbrake turn it. Tommy Makinen taking the lead then on stage 8 of the Monte, 56 seconds the advantage. Makinen second on the stage, only 3.3 seconds behind the fastest man. Intermediates were the right choice, but he said, as you can see from the pictures here, it is difficult on the ice. But Tommy Makinen, most importantly, leading the event.
Tommy, on that last stage, Panizzi made a mistake. Do you feel as if the pressure is off just for a moment?
Still, everything can happen. It's difficult stages last few. There is for sure some difficult condition. It's not so easy.
Is there a lot of snow at the top? Have you had the reports through?
I haven't got any information yet.
Another Finn who was flying stage 8 was Juha Kankkunen, his first stage winning time for his brand new Subaru team. Everything going fine, said Kankers. I'm starting to get into the interesting bit of the user's manual of the car, he reckons. Well, he certainly seems to have got to grips with the Subaru, at least for stage 8.
Feels good. Still, of course, learning a little bit things, but quite happy.
How much does it take to change from Michelin tyres over to Pirelli tyres? Does it take much difference in your choices, or are the tyres actually much the same?
They are much the same. I mean, the choices are much the same, but just to take the right choice, because you have no idea really that which one works on which conditions and things. But Pirelli has good information for that, so it's not that big problem.
Well, Richard Burns, day 1, a tough one for him on his return to Subaru. Twice off in stage 1, he was 10th overall at the end of the day. And day 2, still finding time to find his feet.
We seem to be making not sort of big mistakes on the tyres, but we're not getting it exactly right, you know, and that makes differences, you know, at the end of the stage. If you're only sort of half a second a kilometre out, then you're 20, 30, 40 seconds slower at the end of the stage, and that's been making the difference.
Are you finding a difference swapping from Michelin's over to Pirelli's?
Not really. Yeah, of course there's a difference, but not really a difficulty. It's just if we were choosing Michelin's, doesn't mean to say we'd be getting the right one.
Well, he did make the right choice on stage 8, he said. He was 5th quickest there, but still in 10th position and some 6 minutes behind the leaders. Well, tyres, as I said, really the critical factor in the second day. Everybody has been talking about them, as always they do. Here is Gilles Panizzi coming into the All-Stars Subaru camp for service. And let's just follow the conversations between him. There's brother Hervé, different milkman it seems. Michel Mouton, Gilles' manager, and the guys at Michelin. Well, Hervé was on the phone to find out conditions, the latest conditions from the Ice Note crew. Now, Hervé wants to take a rain tyre. Gilles thinks that rain tyre will be just too much for what they've heard. Gilles says to Hervé, OK, listen, in dry conditions, we'll live with this, but it'll be gone in 10 minutes. Don't forget, these two are brothers, they're teammates, driver and co-driver. Michel Mouton, their manager, also has plenty of experience here. And so does Aimé Chattard, the boss of Michelin. There he is with a clipboard. Feel the pressure here in this conversation, can't you? Gilles just lost the lead of the rally for the first time since the middle of the first competitive group of stages. Now the pressure is on to fight back. This is a critical tyre choice. Well, just as critical down the road in the Rally Art Mitsubishi camp is Tommy Makinen's tyre choice, but tyres are on. Tommy looking very relaxed. There's Andrew Cowan on the right, looking full of smiles as well. Oh dear, what's happening here? Chez Panizzi. Well, now chatting with Aimé Chattard. Gilles not sure of the choice. Aimé Chattard, here's the man with all the information here, all the experience. Everyone's saying, well, we're going for the mixed tyres, don't know if it's the right choice. It's so difficult, especially, of course, for guys like these pair who have so little experience of this. Gilles has taken the final choice, he said. The problem is that we're a private team, we don't have a big tyre choice, and we take what we find in the truck. Incidentally, those big tread blocks with the tiny little feather cuts in, the Michelin TA, proved to be absolutely the right choice on that stage. Makinen looking very relaxed. There's Risto Manasamaki, his co-driver, equally there, ready to get on. And ex-Gregoire de Mervius lamp pod there on the front of the car. Tough choice, Gilles? Yeah, but he said, well, we've made a choice now, so we'll have to see. There you go, fatalism. You've got to make a choice of something. He's made his choice. But probably more nervy in the service area, making that tyre choice, than he would have been sitting on the start line, wondering whether or not it was going to work. Makinen off out of the service. And again, he's gone for big blocks on the treads, just like Gilles Panizzi. Well, here's the Formula 2 leader, Tony Gardemeister, in a privately run Seat Ibiza kit car, one of last year's works cars run by the Italian Astra concern. 15th overall after stage 8. This is Marc Duez, the Belgian race and rally ace in a Mitsubishi Charisma GT. 13th overall, but leads Uruguayan former Group N world champion Gustavo Trellas in a Mitsubishi Lancer. Duez really piling on the pressure, and he has better than an 11-minute advantage going into the final day. After 8 of the 10 stages, or 8 of the stages so far, 3 of the 5 from today, Makinen leading Panizzi by the better part of a minute. Kankinen in third, and then Liati, McRae and Delacour making up the rest of the points scoring positions. Well, that's after 8 stages, 2 left in the second competitive leg of the Rally Monte Carlo, and they are over the famous Col de Torini. Well, this, of course, through the night. Have a look here at some of the action, and when we get into the darkness, just watch Colin McRae. The note on the back of the car, it is a Hertz Renter apparently, so it doesn't matter what he does with it. Back with more in just a moment.
just suddenly.
Stages 9 and 10 of the 1999 Monte Carlo Rally over the Col de Turini. Stage 9, a wet road and snow thrown into the road by the spectators. And stage 10, just more of the same. Well, here they are across the famous Col de Turini. The spectators will be staying up on the mountain all night long to watch them come round these two stages again twice tomorrow. Those are the final stages of the event. As you can see, a little bit of snow right here at the top. And all these guys on racers, it's bare tarmac all the way up and all the way down. 4 kilometres at the top of the stage is packed snow and turning to sheet ice for the final run through. Don't you worry too much about that either. Don't forget they are on racing tyres. Well, there's Colin McRae entering stage left in slightly overdriven style and clanging the barriers. No damage there done. Here's it from the reverse angle. But as I said, it's a Hertz rent-a-car apparently, so it really doesn't matter. He can just drop it off at the airport no matter what it looks like. Impressive stuff indeed. Juha Kankinen looking very controlled here, really on the power nice and early. That's the famous piff-paff section. Not too much snow in evidence here, but everybody complaining that there was a lot of snow kicked onto the stages by the spectators, among whom incidentally was Finland's Keke Rosberg cheering on fellow Finns Kankinen and Makinen, but absolutely not, and I must stress this, throwing any snow in the way of any French drivers at all. What a shame the same couldn't be said for the French crowd and foreign drivers' cars.
Tommy, you seem to get some advantage on those last two stages up the Col de Turini. Are you feeling a lot happier now? You've got a bit more of a buffer over Gilles?
Yes, of course it's much easier. It was my plan to try to do as well as possible and try to make some more time, try to make it easier for tomorrow, and it works.
Panizzi went for a tyre with some little cuts in it. Do you think that you had the correct tyre choice without the cuts in it?
Yeah, I think it was, but I think it doesn't change so much. First Turini, I think with the little cut, I think the tyre was much better than our tyre for first one.
You're a lot more confident for tomorrow, maybe get the win?
Yes, I feel very confident at the moment. It's no questions. Car works well, and now we are coming to last service, which is long one, and they can change everything, all the parts, and they can make car like brand new again, and well, no worries.
Do you plan to change some major parts? Which parts might you change?
I don't know what they have planned. Engineers, maybe they change all transmission and all the suspension parts and things like that.
Well, chance for a ground-up rebuild. Overall classification after leg 3. Then Tommy Makinen, the overnight leader. Gilles Panizzi in second place. Juha Kankinen looking strong in third. Colin McRae fourth. He's now set 3 fastest stage times, same as Makinen. Fifth is Francois Delacour. Sixth is Bruno Thierry. Piero Liati, having to do the final stage on just a handbrake, has dropped down into the lower orders of the top 10. A disappointment for him and the Seat team.
With Ford.
Michelin, the more you progress, the further you go.
Good evening, welcome to the final evening of Eurosport's coverage of round 1 of 14 of the 1999 World Rally Championship. I'm Martin Haven, this is the most famous rally in the world, the Monte Carlo. Well, you mentioned the Monte Carlo rally, and of course it's the snow and the mountains that take everybody's imagination. Hasn't been too much snow, but there's been plenty of mountain climbing and descending here. These are images from yesterday evening, the first runs over the famous, infamous Col de Torini, and this was the man who was fastest at the end of the second day. Tommy Makinen, the reigning world champion, staying with World Championship Team Mitsubishi. Number 1, Gilles Panizzi, he was the pretender. The Monday night leader of this event, the 1998 Formula 2 category winner. Gilles Panizzi had really stunned the opposition in the first day in what is an ex-work Shell but a privately run Subaru. The local bricklayer with sponsorship from a local building firm, really setting the world alight, and just glad to be there against the likes of Makinen and fellow Finn Juha Kankinen. Kankinen has never won this event. He knows about the heartbreak of this event. Came third here last year in a Ford, and starting the final day, third place again, this time though for new team Subaru. Well, after leg 3, the second of the competitive stages, Tommy Makinen was the leader by 1 minute and 45 from Gilles Panizzi. Juha Kankinen, another fair margin behind, and perhaps unable to challenge Panizzi, but an interesting battle going on behind him. Colin McRae coming under increasing threat for 4th position in the brand new Ford Focus. 4 stages. Last night's stage 9 and 10 repeated twice each, so twice over the famous Col de Torini, and Colin McRae was quickest on that on Tuesday evening. Well, was he going to do it again? Perhaps if the bagpipers could help him on his way, maybe so, but maybe Tommy Makinen would have something to say about that.
We play for Panizzi now.
Turncoat, traitor! I can't believe he said that. Well, Gilles Panizzi really catching the imagination of everybody here. This sensational drive in the All-Stars Subaru team. Never had a top 3 position yet in world rallying. Their best was 4th with Gregoire de Mervius on the Rally of Great Britain. And chasing 3rd position here, Juha Kankinen, of course. And here is a man who knows all about spectacular Monty performances. One-time winner, Francois Delacour. The TTE logo gives away the man chasing him. That's Frenchman Didier Auriol, the only Toyota to survive, of the works team at least, to survive stage 1. But it was a fairy tale start, a disastrous ending, I'm afraid, for Gilles Panizzi. He crashed out on the first stage of the day on a fast right-hander, hit a patch of black ice, and he hit a wall sideways. The vehicle skidded around 100 meters on its roof before righting itself again. But the damage was done to the car. No injuries for the crew, but they were out of the event. Next event for Panizzi will be the Rally of Portugal in a Subaru. But meanwhile, the Frenchman was out but not down. Very, very difficult rally, says Gilles. This is only his 2nd world rally. Zero Car said that the bends were very difficult, but the only one that wasn't noted was icy, and it caught us out. He said, but I'll only remember the good things from this rally. We were happy with the car very early on. We proved we could drive very quickly on the slippery conditions, and we got on very well with a 4-wheel drive world rally car setup. As I said, only his 2nd ever WRC 4-wheel drive event. He won the Monty in Formula 2 last year, but a victory overall not to be. So it's Tommy Makinen, the man who leads the event.
You were confident last night, but we've seen already Panizzi going off the road. That must have got your nerves jangling just a little.
No, well, it's very difficult condition. It's just, of course, in this kind of situation, you are a bit nervous, but you just try to concentrate as hard as possible.
You're nearly there.
Yeah, not so much.
Of course, the name of Carlos Sainz will be familiar to all rally watchers, particularly for that last stage disaster for him on the Network Q Rally of Great Britain. And of course, Makinen, the man who benefited then, having thought he was out of the event and the championship. He knows it's not over till it's over. He was 6th fastest on stage 11, 3rd fastest on stage 12. The car's okay, he says, but I'm going to take it easy on the next 2 stages. There was snow and ice around, as you can quite clearly see. They started early on the final morning, so it wasn't until the 3rd and 4th stage of the day that the temperatures would have come up above freezing. Juha Kankinen, 2nd overall after Panizzi's retirement. Let's ride with him. Note, incidentally, on the left-hand side of the picture in a moment, Gilles Panizzi's car off the road and out of the event. There's the co-driver Hervé, there is Gilles himself, and there is the Subaru, and that's where Kankkunen knows he's now second.
100, medium right tightens to K right and long medium left. 100, flat right, 200.
Juha, second time over the Col de Turini on the last day of the Monte, must be pretty good.
Yeah, it was a little bit more icy than yesterday evening, but always not so easy, always a bit difficult.
Well, what about Colin McRae, the Ford Focus, one of the other contenders for third place overall? Stage 11, he was 12th. He lost over a minute and a half because of transmission problems, dropping to 4th overall. He would have been third after Panizzi's retirement, but for that.
We had the two rear drive shafts popped out, so we had sort of 3/4 of the stage with front-wheel drive only.
Well, this is his 5th run at the Monte. His best result until now has been third. Francois Delacour, former winner in an Escort, third overall now, also in an Escort, this time not a Cosworth 4x4 but a WRC, the last of the line. Chased hard though by McRae, by Bruno Thierry and by Didier Auriol, all within 11.5 seconds of each other with 3 stages to go. This is 12th run on the Monte Delacour, and he's had a good history here. Very difficult position though, and I don't think it's settled yet, says Francois. We're really having trouble to battle at the same kind of level of competitiveness because of the car. Didier Auriol, Bruno Thierry, they're going very quickly indeed. He said, I'm sure they have a chance to pass me. The car's good, it's no problems with it, but it is just a different generation. Colin McRae, fastest on the final stage, stage 12. That's the 4th fastest stage time he's set, more than anybody else on the event. Despite having those 2 drive shafts out and having 2-wheel drive for the previous stage, he's fighting hard. Bruno Thierry, 2nd fastest on stage 11, 8th fastest despite this puncture on stage 12. Moves up to 4th overall as McRae's passed Delacour. Here's Thierry changing the wheel.
We had a slow puncture after 6-7 Ks, all the left-hand corner the car didn't turn, and I lost quite a lot of time because 3 kilometers over the end I lost the tires, and I don't know, it was maybe I hit a stone or something. It's difficult to say, but it's bad luck because we had a good tire choice.
What about the other Frenchman in the race, Didier Auriol, fastest overall on stage 11, a great choice of barely studded tyres and racing slicks. This incidentally is stage 11. He's got a tiny row of studs on the inside. Can't believe the speed here on packed snow and ice. 9th on stage 12, into 6th overall, closing on Delacour and Thierry. 2 stages to go, the 3 men just 9 seconds apart. Fantastic stuff. Delacour, of course, Auriol, of course, 3 times a winner with Lancia and Toyota. He's saying very hard. We're doing the stages twice this morning and then twice again. The tyre choice was very good, though. I see, comparing the times with Francois and Bruno, we're close to our target, which is to pass them both. Well, the target also, of course, he says, is to be at the finish, so we'll have to make sure we get through the Turini again the second time. Well, the former winner knows what it takes. Tommy Makinen has never got this far so far. Will he win it? With 2 stages left to go, leading comfortably from Juha Kankkunen, but McRae, Thierry, Delacour and Auriol squabbling over 3rd place, and not much to choose between them. Welcome back. This is the 1999 Monte Carlo Rally. Eurosport continuing our nightly updates. The final day and just 2 stages left to go. Everything nicely balanced. The road's wet, but basically ice-free for these final 2 stages. Harry Rovanperä setting an astonishing fastest time on 13, the penultimate stage of the event. The first ever stage win for Seat with the World Rally car, and for Rovanperä in this category. An especially pleasant result, since they did it over perhaps the most famous stage in the world, the Col de Turini. The Cordoba WRC had its first appearance in Finland and scored its best result on the Rally of Great Britain in 6th position.
That is very nice, and we we pushing it very hard in second last stages. Sure is maybe Tommy and other drivers not going the maximum speed up, but we take the different tires and try very hard, and now coming first best time, and I hope we know it's not last.
Well, just to underline that it wasn't a mistake, third fastest on that stage by just 2 seconds was Harry Rovanperä as teammate Piero Liati. Liati 7th overall at this stage. He had been in the top 3 on day one, a sensational run until a broken wheel and lack of brakes on 2 stages where he just used a handbrake slowed him down. But a great result for Seat. And Jamie Pooch, the sport director of the team, absolutely delighted. Look at the Cheshire Cat grin. He'd have said it's a major surprise, or it would have been if we'd won. But the car has proved it's quick, and we're delighted to have come so far so quickly. Really looking good for the team. Tommy Makinen then, stage 13, only 9th quickest, taking it nice and easy. No problems with the car and still in the lead. Intermediate tyres he took, he said it's very slippery. Juha Kankkunen, 6th quickest, just 8 seconds behind the Seat. But he's taking it easy as well, 2nd overall, 1 minute and 41 behind Makinen, but 2 minutes ahead of the battle for 3rd, led by this man, Colin McRae. Don't forget the Ford still rallying under appeal. It was declared illegal at the start by the scrutineers because of the placing of the water pump. That'll be settled on February the 4th before the next event. But meanwhile, McRae and Nicky Grist heading for 3rd on the car's debut on the Monty. That's a fine, fine performance.
70, 2 left opens, 70.
He certainly is worth it. I mean, he did a fantastic job this morning when we had a rear drive shaft problem, and not only is he the fastest driver in the world, he's also, I think, he's probably one of the best technicians as well. So we're, I think it's a vital ingredient to what we're trying to do with a new car as well, to have somebody who can understand what is happening to the car, and especially when things like that happens. I mean, he just got on, did the job, and then of course he posted fastest time on the stage afterwards. It's remarkable.
Well, McRae and Nicky Grist are used to hammering things back together for rally cars. Malcolm Wilson says to come back from that 2-wheel drive disaster, get the car into 4-wheel drive trim and post the fastest time. Impressive concentration. Well, what about the Subarus? Simon Jean-Joseph. This young man has got a big future in front of him. 11th quickest through stage 13, 11th overall he was. A good result for his first drive in a works car, and in the top 6 times on this event.
Well, Richard's performance, he had a bad first day obviously with the accident, and it's very hard to get back in these conditions. First time driving the car, building your confidence. So I think the rest of the rally he's just quietly acclimatising himself to the car, the conditions, and when we come to Sweden I think you'll see him very competitive.
They are there talking about the second Subaru, that of Richard Burns, who was in 9th position after a bad start to the event. But for Didier Auriol, the only surviving works Toyota Corolla, 2nd quickest through the penultimate stage, 5th overall, 2.3 seconds ahead of Delacour, a narrow margin, and both Frenchmen know that they can't afford to lift off now. It's a real battle of nerves to the end. This is Delacour in his elderly now Escort, or outmoded at least. He lost his 5th place, but there is still a chance to fight back against Didier Auriol, even if Colin McRae might be just edging out of way. Didier Auriol keeping the hammer down, of course. He knows that at the FIA appeal court, Ford Focus might lose its position, so this is actually a battle for 4th on the mountainsides. Could end up being 3rd place at the end. Bruno Thierry, 4th overall, sandwiched between Auriol and Delacour. Still one special stage to go, 1.2 seconds ahead of Auriol. Before they go into the final stage, Thierry, Auriol and Delacour just 3.6 seconds covering the battle for 4th place. Something for the fans to cheer on the final day. Well, so many drivers have made correct or incorrect tyre choices that have cost them or gained them time. That's what it's all about. Formula 2 winner on this event, Tony Gardemeister. He had the Nissan rug whipped out from under him. This is a privately run Astra Team Seat Ibiza kit car, and he's won the Formula 2 Cup, 16th overall. Marc Duez won his all-Mitsubishi Group N battle with Gustavo Trellis by a considerable margin. The Belgian race and rally ace taking 12th overall, Gustavo Trellis second in Group N, and Andres Spiliotis of Cyprus taking third in the category. Well, one stage to go, but as Carlos Sainz will tell you, anything could still happen. It's never over till it's over. Tommi Makinen leading Juha Kankkunen and Colin McRae. The battle for fourth well alight behind McRae. But anybody, well, maybe not anybody, but certainly either Makinen or Kankkunen could win this one for Finland. The big question is, who would it be? The denouement of the 1999 Monte Carlo rally here on Eurosport. 6th overall, after a run through the final stage that netted third quickest time. Bruno Thierry in the Subaru Impreza, the works driver, not scoring manufacturer points though, despite being the best placed of the Subarus on the event. 5th overall, Francois Delacour in the slightly elderly Escort WRC, an excellent performance, overtaking Thierry on the finish line by 1.3 seconds. The Frenchman really loves this event, and you can just see it in his attitude at the wheel. In 4th place then, finally, Didier Auriol for Toyota, fastest on the last stage as he was on stage 11, the first of the day. Superb battle by Auriol, climbs from 7th to finish 4th, and that might even yet be 3rd if Ford loses its appeal at the FIA. Subaru, this time in a Ford. A very, very impressive opening result though for the Ford Focus, despite the wrangling and scrutineering. To finish in 3rd place on its debut is a great move by any rally car. And McRae, new driver to the car, to the team, seems to be utterly delighted. Look. Still filthy from his roadside handiwork as well.
Yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. We were looking like we were struggling a bit in the work up to the rally, but when we got here the car was a lot better than it was the last time I drove it in testing, and the team have worked brilliantly.
It's also a very emotional moment as well. I thought it was when we won the Acropolis 2 years ago, but yeah, a very emotional moment for me, and delighted, especially for all the people and the team.
In 2nd place then, as he was last year in a Ford, is Juha Kankkunen in a Subaru. So staying with the same positions, even though they swapped teams. McRae 3rd, Kankkunen in 2nd place. Didn't win the Monty in 1999, but this Finn did. Tommi Makinen in the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 6. Number 1 on the bonnet, number 1 on the doors, and number 1 on the timesheets. His first Monty win. Only one World Rally Championship event now eludes him, and that is the Rally of France, the Tour de Corse. It's the 5th win in a row in the World Rally Championship for the Mitsubishi Rally Arts team. Of course, last time out it was Richard Burns in his swan song on the Rally of Great Britain. Tommi Makinen comes back in. Notice the all-white bonnet here in France. Wait till you see it on the podium back in Monaco under different tobacco regulations. There's your Anorak's point for tonight. Let's hear now, though, from the winner.
Fantastic job. Where do you think you really won the rally? Was it yesterday, today, where?
Well, at the end of I think last stage, at the end of last stage, last 5 kilometers, when last 5 kilometers was completely dry tarmac, I thought now it must be very, very close. But still I remind RAC when Carlos retired just before.
And that retirement will be forever referred to on final stages, won't it? And probably by me as well. Tommi Makinen then the winner. Juha Kankkunen 2nd under appeal. The Ford Focus of Colin McRae 3rd on its debut. Didier Auriol 4th. In 5th place, Francois Delacour 6th. Bruno Thierry 7th and 8th, incidentally. Pierre Eliatti and Harry Rovanperä.